Now we should be live. Oh god. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Let's paste these links into the Discord server. PUP is live.
I don't know if either. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna start blabbing about anime. If you have something more important, but
no, I was gonna mention something, and then I was gonna ask if you guys consider Fire Emblem Echoes an RPG. It's got numbers. It's a tactical RPG according to whatever.
Is it the mobile one?
No, the 3DS one, the one that came out. Shadows of Valencia. Okay,
I think that's totally an RPG.
Then I totally played a 7.
Number 7.
Pretty much.
Right. Yeah, I think
pretty
that's
sure
an
anything
RPG.
Fire Emblem related we can talk about, whether it's RPG or not, because so many of them pretty much are, right? You guys go up levels, and
pretty
like tactics games has a lot of crossover, and some of the games have like role play in terms of, hey, you two, you should go mate, and then give me a give me your spawn.
and the spawn will be so much better. The other thing was, I don't know if either of you play Fire Emblem Heroes, but they have like that free unit that you can get.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Fire Emblem Heroes.
Okay. I plan on talking about that too. But go ahead about the anime. Sorry.
I was just say I started watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
2012 one. So Dio, I think, is the most evil motherfucker ever like imagined. Like,
did you watch that because did I recommend it last time, or
I
started watching it like 2 months ago. So
really,
yeah.
I don't remember. I've had an itch for like the last year or two to figure out what the hell's going on with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because I know
everyone loves it.
There's these video games that are sometimes fighting games, but sometimes some sort of story-driven game. I'm not sure what type of gameplay they have, and I was wondering like how weird and bizarre it got. And
so JoJo is like the progenitor of like a lot of animes out there. Like it's actually the anime that like pushed a lot of animes forward, and a lot of animes make references to JoJo, a lot of homages.
Well, and I'm not watching the original. I'm watching the 2012 remake series that they started.
Which
my understanding is like the first 9 episodes cover the initial like story with Dio back in the 1800s.
Yes.
And then the second season
the original
moves into
Joestar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second season goes into his son in World War II era.
He's my favorite JoJo.
He's pretty great so far. Like, I haven't watched it in
American
about
JoJo.
a week, but like Crunchyroll, you can just stream them through a web browser for free. Like, you don't even have to be a member, so that's been nice.
Yeah.
Like, so have you played any of the games then?
No, so I'm actually on. Is it considered the 3rd season of JoJo? I'm on the 3rd season. Actually, I just watched an episode before we started, and I'm hoping that my tears are gone, because whoa, I shouldn't have watched that episode before PUP. It made me super emotional. Not a good thing.
You know what? I remember what finally kicked me over was I saw like the first 15 minutes or so of the live action movie. And I'm like, there was no sub to it either. So I'm like, this guy has really weird hair and just beat everyone up without moving. That guy seems to have a summon standing behind him.
Oh, yes, that's the season that I'm on. I know exactly what you're talking about. So actually Stans, which is what that was basically this revolutionized anime, first of all, because we're talking about manga, actually, because the creator of JoJo, like, didn't want his series to be made into an anime until anime could provide what he wanted for his JoJo. But so in every anime that's basically ever existed, everything's been like a power creep, and eventually you get to the point where you become like Superman, and just nothing could ever like you have to raise the stakes constantly with the anime. So JoJo was kind of like the first one to ever introduce something called stands, and what that did was basically introduce people with specific powers. And because you could introduce like people with specific powers, and anybody could have these powers at any time, like I could wake up one morning and I have the power to levitate, but I didn't even train for it. I just have that power. Or someone else could wake up in the morning and they have the power to shoot fireballs from their hands. Or somebody could, and you could be anybody. A dog could wake up and learn that he has the ability to summon Cerberus or something. So it was basically Persona.
Right.
So like they just woke up and they were OP. And what this introduced was basically that this level of you can introduce anybody into the story and be able to defeat your hero, or your hero might have to like team up with somebody else who has a power that beats it in a rock paper scissors match. And this was like an idea that had never been thought of back in the day, like because this is an old manga.
Yeah, this is from at least the 80s, right?
Old
before that,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like I think the original JoJo is it's kind of like a fan fiction to a couple of like the train and get stronger, more muscles, and
yeah.
it's kind of like that. And then I don't know what happened, but the creator had like this like genius moment where like the second JoJo was where things got actually bizarre. Like it's really good. And it just gets better and better. I think the first season was okay. I don't think it was bad, but second season it starts picking up steam, and then the third one's just really good, like moment to moment to moment. It's one of the best animes I've ever seen.
Well, I really want to get to the third season, like because the first season I was very thankful it was only 9 episodes because
it was very fast.
Yeah. Well, and when you start off, you're up like Dio kicks a dog in the first episode. like that was a hard moment for me to get through, and then that dog's demise was another very difficult moment for me.
It's so fast.
It's but luckily they get through that season quickly.
Yes.
I was really surprised what happened to Joestar, like that. Like was that
nobody in this anime has plot armor. Do you know what I mean by plot armor, right? Like,
everyone can die.
Everyone can die. There is nobody who's safe from death, and I'm talking the main character included.
You know, I guess that is a good point, because nearly every single character they introduced like dies within a couple episodes, like if that. Right.
So I gotta tell you, like there's always like these stakes when you're watching the anime, where there's like this character could very well absolutely die in this scene. They've been a main character the entire season, but we're making it down to the last 3 episodes, and I don't know if they're gonna make it. I don't even know if the hero's gonna make it. So it's just like this like sinking feeling when you're in this battle, and the other thing is when they kill somebody off, they don't do like, you know, super long farewell, whatever. It's like they're gone from existence. Like, and he made a point of that. Like, he wrote that like a lot of times when people die, you don't get that closure that he sees in like movies and stuff, and so he wanted that feeling to translate into his manga or anime, where the goodbyes come too fast to like say anything to anyone, and just people get snuffed out left and right.
Yeah, you got me reinvigorated to go back to it. Like I was, it was kind of a bad situation that I was trying to play Prey while watching it and reading the subtitles, and it just was not working.
You can't do that. JoJo moves at a mile a minute.
Yeah, Prey just kind of wound up sitting there for a long time, and sometimes I'd forget to pause and then realize that I just got attacked and killed. What is?
Yeah.
Sorry, my computer started freaking out. Sometimes when I plug in my phone to my computer, it just starts connecting and disconnecting, like
yeah, that happens to me.
Rapid sequence.
So I would say that the second JoJo is my personal favorite JoJo for who he is, like his personality and everything. He's great. But I think the most like iconic JoJo, the one that like is represented across all sorts of media, is the third one, which is the one that you had seen like 15 minutes of.
Well, and he's the one who gets all the video games too, I think.
Yes. And like his costumes are referenced in all sorts of media. And other animes just like pay homage to it because it's a very cool looking outfit with the hat and the big long school coat with the giant rings dangling from it, the rings and chain or whatever.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's the one that does the like the auras really fast.
Yeah.
With the punches. Yeah. No, this. Oh my gosh.
Cool.
It's good.
I will stick with it. If you ever play one of those games, be sure and bring it up on here.
I would love to.
I'm sure they're all collector's items by now, but
yeah.
Like they found out they had a PS1 JoJo game, and I don't know if it was.
I think they have Super NES JoJo games.
Man.
So the one thing I've heard from anybody who's like been a long-time follower of JoJo is that like with some anime series, you start feeling like the decline of the series. Apparently, JoJo just like keeps getting better and better and better and better and better. Like even the manga just there's no. It's just like a climb up.
Nice.
Yeah, the very first game was in '93. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the Super Famicom apparently was an RPG.
Nice.
Which is interesting.
Man. You were the right person to ask about this, Mina.
Yeah, you really... Lucky.
I'd previously gotten a little bit of direction on Twitter from, I think it was Gibbinator. But, because he's, I think the one...
Do you like the names of the antagonists?
I can't... Actually, another thing was, it's been 2 weeks since I've watched it, because I was busy all last weekend. But, I mean, the second season, I've only gotten to, like, they found one of the stone men, whatever they're called.
Yes. The Pillar Men.
Pillar Men, that's it. And I don't remember what the first guy's name was. They just beat him.
Oh my gosh. So they said their names. Hold on, I have to make sure I say it in the Japanese way, because it didn't hit me until, like, a certain part of the, because I saw their names written out, because I'm reading the subtitles, but it wasn't until, like, I heard them say it that I was just like, this is hilarious. So there's, Santana, Wamu, AC/DC, and Cars.
Is this what inspired freaking Ozzy and them from Chrono Trigger?
Oh my gosh, yes. No, like, you better get used to the names of the villains. I just hit one that's, like, got me rolling whenever they say this guy's name. And just... There's one that, like, he dies so quickly, and then they say his name, like, they show a little so-and-so dead, and I was just like, that's ridiculous. I don't want to spoil the names because they're kind of like part of the.
Well, don't spoil it then, because you
already saw. You already saw the three pillar men.
Well, the one pillar men.
Oh! He was Santana.
Okay.
And yes, that's exactly.
Well, when you said AC/DC, like, and you said the other one was Wamu.
Wamu. But it's supposed to be Wham.
But
okay.
Okay.
Because they're Japanese. They're not gonna. It doesn't come out Wham. Yeah. They say Wamu and Cars. AC/DC. Wham. Santana.
That's great.
And that just continues. Like, I'm almost at the end of the third season, and it's just the names, they get me. Oh, you met Speedwagon already.
Yeah, Speedwagon was the knife guy with the hat.
Yeah, his name was Robert something Speedwagon. Ario Speedwagon.
Geez, that didn't even click with me. God.
Yeah, no, he, like, on his gravestone it said Ario Speedwagon.
I'm liking the show more and more.
Oh, he was my favorite. Oh my gosh, he's like the... Okay, so the reason why I love Speedwagon, okay? Because, like, the first season, it had, like, I would say it wasn't so good. It had problems, but Speedwagon's the best because he's an antagonist for all of about, like, 10 minutes, and then he is so captivated by how much of a gentleman the main character is. He's like, you know what? I am going to be your best friend for the rest of your life. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna work my butt off, and I'm going to build a company that's just gonna live to serve you as your best bud bro for the rest of infinity. I'm gonna tell all my children to basically, help you out. It's just
He's pretty great. I liked his character a lot.
Oh my gosh, Ario Speedwagon, what a guy.
Oh man, that's awesome.
No, there's the thing is that they don't dwell too much on some of their names. So if you're not catching them as they fly by, you're just gonna miss it. I didn't even realize Speedwagon for a little bit. I kept thinking his name's Speedwagon, because they introduced him as he's this punk thug sort of guy. So I thought that was kind of his punk nickname, street name or whatever. And then it hit me when I saw the
gravestone.
Gravestone where it has his name, and I'm like, oh, Arya Speedwagon, of course. Yes, of course.
That's pretty good.
Oh my gosh, what a good anime too. Alright, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I've been watching a lot of anime, and that's one of the ones that I've been hitting that one really hard because it's just a good time.
I was watching it. I mean, I spent a whole day watching the first season, and then 6 or 7 episodes in the second season, and then I remember what I got busy with last week. It said I signed up for a free week trial of Stars so I could watch American Gods. And then forgot to cancel it, so I binged a bunch of Stars in that week and didn't need to because I just gave him $8 for this month anyway. But anyway,
I'm glad.
Are you guys ready to start the show?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was doing show notes, so I doing the thing I should have done earlier.
I probably should open the show notes.
They're mostly done now. Right.
Yeah, anybody who wants to watch that anime, just burn through the first season, know that it's not the best. It's kind of
not
average
representative.
It's not representative of the rest, and but it lays down all the groundwork for future stuff. So it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
I'll open show notes.
Are you guys ready?
Yep.
I am.
Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me, as always, is Musum.
Hello!
And Mina.
Hi!
2 quick notes here before we get started with the show proper. Apologies if you can hear some fan noise on my end. It's 105 degrees here today, so I'm not going to melt. So I have some fans pointed at me and my computer, so it hopefully doesn't melt. Also, none of us really remembered if I plugged it last month or not, but we're going to do it again if I did. Quick plug for the Patreon to support this show and TVGP. If you want to toss some money my way, help pay for the show, and get some cool behind-the-scenes stuff, you can see my handwritten show notes for the week. You can get early access to some special episodes. You can hang out and chat with me while I edit the show. Some cool stuff like that. Patreon.com/E1M1. Even tossing in $1 a month helps a ton. It goes towards paying for the show and paying for the software that I use to record the show and bring it to you, and etc., etc. Everything I do and all the goals are on the page, patreon.com/E1M1. I think that's it for business and shilling. So, Musum, what have you been paying this past month?
So, my wife bought me a game I'd never heard of. She had decided I'd really like, and I played it a bunch. I'm a little stuck on it. It is called West of Loathing.
Oh, I just heard about this.
This is I don't remember who the developer is or anything like that, but the best way to describe this is like a point and click adventure RPG. Like it's somewhere between like a Quest for Glory, but like maybe with some of the dialogue conceit, not mechanics, but dialogue conceit of an Undertale.
Okay.
But the the game is presented to you in black and white, and all the characters are stick figures, or all the people are stick figures, like the snakes and evil cows and such are not.
That's great.
This is a very, it is a really good sense of humor on it. It's very, very easy to play. It's like whenever you get to combat, it's like a turn-based type thing where you have AP points that you get each battle that you can use to do a special skill, and then you have a bunch of items that your class or abilities that your class will give you that you can, or at least mine can do for free. So I went in the game and spent 5 minutes on the main menu because you can just kind of click on objects in the background and it'll shoot it, and it has this good like Western music playing in the background.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, so I went in the game and created a character and just like scrolled through its pre-generated names, which are all pretty great. Then I chose Cub Garner.
That's like a good like 70s baseball name.
Yeah.
Up to the mound, Cub Garner.
Everything is ridiculous in this game. The classes, I can't remember. One of them was I should have written down the name of the other two, but one of them was a fighter equivalent. One of them was a wizard, like magic equivalent. I chose the snake oiler, which I don't like. I was thinking maybe it'd be like Thief, but no, it's like you start out at your parents' house and you want to travel west to go make a name for yourself, and your dad gives you a suitcase full of snakes as one of your going away presents. I pulled
up the name of the other two classes. The fighter one is called Cow Puncher.
Yeah.
And the magic one is called Bean Slinger.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guarantee you, like, they probably literally sling beans.
Probably.
So, what was I talking about? Right, so, just kind of a quick example of some of the weird, like, this game will randomly assign you skills. And, like, I just chose it to auto do my attributes and stuff because I have no idea what I'm doing necessarily. And so you'll be talking to things or doing things, and it'll be like, do you really want to do this? And then you'll click yes, and it'll be like, this is really gross, you really shouldn't do this. And you click yes, and then you gradually argue with the thing enough that it lets you do it, and something happens, and like the narrator's kind of mad at you at the end of it.
That's cool.
It's like the spittoon actually is the specific example I'm thinking of there, because you go up to a spittoon and they give this really gross description of what's in it and how it's never been cleaned, and you're like, I want to examine it more. And the narrator's like, there's nothing good in here, quit it. And eventually when you get through it, you'll get an item. Like, and I've gone through like 3 spittoons so far, and the last one I pulled out a pair of pants that my guy is now wearing because it has better stats.
Nice.
It's so gross. So in this world, the cows are like this demonic evil thing. Like, they come and they burn people's houses and things like that. You will often encounter floating bovine heads that are shooting fire and such at you. I encountered a full-size cow once, and it kicked the crap out of me, so I need to probably go back and do that sometime, because I've leveled up a lot since then. But the other thing is that there is a necromancer loose on the land. And you will find random undead things throughout it, and sometimes you can just talk to them and move on, and sometimes you can't. Majority of things, like, you're gonna fight in this game no matter what, but the majority of time, if you're wandering around an environment and just clicking on things, you can either A, avoid the random encounters, or B, find an encounter where one of your skills will get you through it. So.
Oh, interesting.
I wish I remembered an example of a skill, but the only skill I wrote down was my my favorite joke I've experienced so far. So you're presented with, like, you're constantly presented with situations to lie about what you know. So I had a situation where I could lie about knowing something about mining. So I just started making stuff up, and it would give me options to keep making stuff up, and at the end of it, I got the skill Minesplainer.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So now I can talk to people about that, and I can mine stuff. And the currency in the game is meat. You will find meat veins in caves, and trade in meat. It is it's real. It's a real unique game. Like, humor-wise, it's pretty great. Like, story-wise, I have no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing. Like, there's this mountain range. I know I gotta get dynamite to blow through, but I don't want to buy the dynamite, like, because that costs a lot of meat, and I don't have that much meat. But finding what to do in the meantime, like, there's some alien subplot, like, that I think is a side quest thing, and there's all this weird stuff everywhere. Like, there's this... I'll try not to ruin the whole game, but I'll tell you one more funny thing I found. Like, I found a... not a fortress. What do they call them? A fort. That was entirely manned by skeletons. And as you go through the fort manned by skeletons, because the skeletons don't attack you, they're just doing whatever, you find out that the necromancers or the necromancer and his pupils were trying to raise an undead army to fight the real army. But they found that once they raised the undead military commanders, that the military commander had issues taking orders from a civilian. So then they lost control of the army.
That's
but
I
mean, they also have a lot of dark stuff in it too. It's stuff that you might gloss over it, but it's no, okay, I gotta quit spoiling every single little thing in it. Like, there's a lot in it. Like, to be clear, like, my map is filled with a good 50 or 60 locations on it right now that all have different, like, story elements that are ridiculous and have their own joke to them, and it's a really easy game to jump in and out. The main negative part is I don't have... There's no quest log in it, so it's sometimes hard to remember what you were doing, where you were going, or where you still need to go, especially if you've already been to everywhere on your map. But anyway, I really like this game. My character's been randomly finding these necromancer things, so I keep picking them up and taking them, and you have, you know, different items and things you can equip. So the first thing that you were given when you walk into a bar is a cowboy hat. They're like, no, you can't come in here without a hat, so go take one of the loner hats. And I eventually found a ghost hat, which is just a hat that you can kind of see through when it's on my head, so that's what I've been sticking with, because that seems way too cool. But it's a ridiculous game, and it's a lot of fun. It is super, super easy, though. I think I'm playing it on whatever normal difficulty is. I don't know if a harder one would make it harder or not. The combat doesn't really seem super balanced, honestly. And that just may be because I haven't dug into it enough, but I don't know, it's a good before bed game. Spend a half hour playing it.
Yeah.
A couple nights in a row. But
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a good call on Susie's part to get that. So, and then the only other, like, my phone is kind of taking over my life game-wise this month for some reason. That and non-RPG games like Prey, which...
Yeah, go play Prey.
I guess we could probably do an argument for that, but I won't. So, Fire Emblem Heroes is the main other thing I've played. I'm kind of winding down. Like, I know you're really into it too, Mina.
I'm more into other ones, but I'm into it just a little bit.
Well, and I was hardcore into it, but those Tempest battles they kept doing burnt me out.
Yeah.
They're a bit much, because, like, for me, I really only have one team that can do... Like, okay, so for those who haven't played it, the Tempest is a deal where you have to do 5 maps at once, and you get X amount of teams to go through those maps to kill everything with. And that is dependent on what difficulty you choose. The reward system for it is, after you complete those maps, you get, you know, a couple hundred points, and then every 1,000 to 5,000 points or something like that, you'll get a reward. All the good rewards are at 40,000 points. Like, that's really where you want to get to in one of these, so you can get the equipable item that gives you a new skill. So, the problem is that you, like, even if you can get the highest, like, ranking thing, you're only getting, like, what, 300 to 500 points for it? And I don't have a team that can do the highest one. I did the, like, third most difficult, third from the top one, I think. The hardest hard one, without going to the lunatic.
Yeah. Yep.
And that one gets you about 300, which means to get to 40,000 points is really a slog. Especially for me, I only have 5 characters that I can really do it with.
I was about to ask, what characters do you have? If you remember their names, or at least remember what they are.
Well, I wrote down my A team.
Okay, that'll help.
My A team is Ike, Lindy, Nino, and Azura. And 3 of them have the pull back skill where they can pull someone back. So Nino, I think I have the skill where archers can't get a counterattack on her, and Linde, I think I have the skill, and that might not be her name. It might just be Lind or something. But she has the skill equipped where the ninja stars don't get a second attack on her for a counterattack.
Right.
And Linde also has a bunch of healing stuff with her too. And Azura, I equipped that skill that lets her teleport to an ally, so that's pretty cool.
She is really good.
Yeah. Like, I have a lot of...
I can see why you have problems, though.
Well, I have about, I don't know, 35 or so 5-star characters.
I see.
But I don't have a Hector. I don't have...
If you have Hector, you just, do whatever you want and win the game.
Evidently, the way the forums talk about him.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll ever know. Like...
Green is all I ever try to pull because I'm just like, I need a green unit that doesn't suck. Please. So,
not bad.
Have you played recently, as in like the past couple of days?
Yes.
Okay, so you know about the choose your hero thing. Have you already picked one?
Yes.
Which one did you pick?
I went with Ike.
Alright, you went with Ike. He is, by my definition, I would say that he is probably the best one. One could make the argument that the best one would be Lyn. It's one or the other. The other two, they're nice, but unless you are swath with Hector and whatever, I think Ike is he's super tanky, and he gets tankier the more you try to kill him. So he's really good. He holds down that spot, especially if you lack a Hector. And Lyn is a horse archer who can't be counterattacked by anything that uses physical weapons. When engaging mages, they lose their buffs. So flying obviously is not going to do well against an archer, so they're just going to go down. She's extremely fast, and not only is she fast, but whenever you try to, I think, attack her, maybe she speeds up even more, and then lowers everyone's speed within like 2 tiles of her.
Jeez.
So she's a menace, especially with the ability to because she's on a horse, so she just kind of charges in and just. Yeah.
I'd love to have a horse archer. I have 5-star archers. None of them are on horses.
She's the only horse archer in the game.
Well, that would be why.
And that's why I picked her. I went with her because I don't really need grays. I have Takumi. And
I don't have Takumi either.
See? I have a Takumi, and I have a bunch of different healers, and I felt that whenever I'm trying to pull on the gacha, I always, if there's a green, I'm picking it because I'm like, if I could get a Hector,
yeah,
done.
That's true.
Done with green. So I was like, as much as I wanted to get Ike because I could really use a green, I also know that I will never pick gray because gray is filled with trash. So I was like, I'm just going to grab Lyn because she's a gray unit. horse archer, just peace out and just always pick green and pray one day I get lucky.
I've had a lot harder time getting 5 stars too, because like
it's hard.
Up until the last Tempest trials, I was getting a 5-star like every 3 pulls or so. Like I literally got like 15 of them between like June and July or something like that, you know. And a lot of them were like whatever the new banner was. Like I'd wait to the second week of whatever banner was just introduced, and then just magically get like 3 or 4 of the characters they introduced.
That's pretty sweet.
But then like the last Tempest hit, and I was so burnt out on the idea of trying to put the amount of work I'd need to in to get that whatever ability that I kind of stopped playing the game for a couple weeks, and so I missed out on a lot of stuff there too.
So I have that problem too with Fire Emblem Heroes, where how do I put this into words? Like every mobile game has like a power creep.
Yeah.
Like that's just how they all operate. There's always a power creep, but it feels like such a slog when you aren't being like you can't keep up with it and you're trying to be free to play and you just can't keep up with the power creep and it just gets worse and worse, which is why like Fire Emblem Heroes kind of turns me off just a little bit, because that power creep is really a kick. And I guess this is like something I've had with a lot of mobile games that just irritates me. Like same thing goes for Record Keeper, where like the power creep just gets insane and I can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
And
that's why I eventually tapped out of Record Keeper. It's like there's so much work to do to prep for like a dungeon that's coming up as part of a banner pull. And it's like I can't. I'm like turning into a WoW full-time raider here for this mobile game. Like I can't. I don't have the time or the desire to keep up with this right now.
And being that you can't just like constantly pull like units to like keep up with the power creep makes it so difficult. Which is why I probably am sticking with Brave Exvius the hardest out of any of them, because you can easily daily pull all the day long. Like every single day you can do a daily pull, and you have basically, I think it's a 40% chance to pull on banner with every pull. For like 7 days of a banner, you have like a 40% chance to grab something on banner. So that means you're probably going to keep up with the power creep. Yeah. There's like the odds are kind of in your favor. Like 7 days, 40% chance, you got a good chance to stay with it.
Yeah.
And they always like go back and buff older units.
That's a huge help.
Yeah, like one of the characters became like, he was a 3-star unit, became like the strongest unit in the game for like 3 weeks or so, and it was just like that's the sort of thing that like makes me stay with something, because you don't just kind of like make everybody useless. And then they introduced I'm taking over Musim's time. I'm sorry.
No, it's our time. This is the last game I have to talk about. This is our segue to you.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Spell it out for the audience.
I'm sorry. So this is probably why I just like Brave Exvius, because it and the additional thing is even when I pull something that's garbage, like a pure like this unit has no purpose, they have a 5% TMR that I can like feed into something that are like, if I've gotten 10 of these, I'm just gonna feed them all to a single one. I'm like halfway to getting their TMR, and that's Trust Mastery Reward. When you 100% it, you get like an ability, equipment,
some cool spell,
something, that you can just add to one of your other units, and some of them are like super good, even though they're on junk units that you can just pull all the time. So I always felt like I'm making progress.
Yeah. I've actually been playing a ton of Brave Exvius this last month, so this is all very timely, especially the Trust Mastery stuff.
I should add you on my friends list, because
you're already on mine because we're Facebook friends.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. That's good. So the best part about Brave Exvius has one other really good feature that I don't see in a lot of gacha games, which is you can borrow a whole friend
Mm-hmm.
to come with you.
That's how I'm getting through about half of this game.
Right? So, like, let's say you're brand spanking new, but you have friends who have already been playing this game, and they're just, like, really strong, and especially if they're on Facebook, you don't even have to add them onto your friends list. They don't count against you. They're free friends. And in a lot of cases, unless you're talking about, like, the toughest content, like the absolute hardest content, your friend can probably one-shot everything.
Yeah, as a way to describe this, you and my brother for a long time were your friend unit was TG Sid from Final Fantasy Tactics, and Thunder
God Sid.
My strongest unit is probably hitting about 4 times for about 800. And TG Sid was coming in and hitting 4 times for about 30,000 each time. So pretty much anything I'm running across is getting just knocked down pretty quickly. It's
annihilated.
It's
yeah. And then what's really cool about like units like TG Sid is if you can find a unit that can basically it's called chaining. So as long as your unit doesn't hit twice in a row and a different unit hits in between there, you build up a chain which does more and more damage. So if you can get like a really junky character or a bunch of junky characters to hit in between TG Sid's hits, his damage goes up and up and up and up as a multiplier. And even though you may not have very good units, that one strong friend unit can easily sweep things because your units are tinking it just enough that it's going to do lots of damage. And this is probably why it's kind of friendly to new players, where you can just kind of like borrow somebody, and unless you're trying to do like the trials, which cost like, you could probably make it through like a lot of the trials. I think you would get stopped probably when they start requiring
I got stopped on the second one.
yeah. It's the multi trial would probably be just impossible without some good friends.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Brave Exvius because my brother's been very kind about me texting him and being like, "Hey, what's this thing?" Or like, "This banner's coming up. Who's good?" That sort of stuff, and it has helped. And now I'm understanding a lot of the ins and outs of the game that I have a lot of problems with communities like this on Reddit for gacha games, because I don't mind when I go look at a subreddit and they're talking about really nitty-gritty stuff for people that have been playing for like 4 years. It hasn't been out that long, but they put in multiple hours per day. That's fine. The problem I have is for almost any beginner's guide in any gacha game, like the very first thing is you need to get one of these 5 units, if not re-roll your whole game. It's like, no, I need to know like what are the basics of the game. I'm not going to re-roll. I'm gonna get my first couple of pulls, and that's who I get. Like, I'm not interested in doing that.
So Reddit's really bad about that because, like you said, they insist upon re-rolling. I entirely disagree. Yeah. You definitely do not need to re-roll. It like with the power creep the way it is, eventually, if you do daily pulls, which anybody, especially a beginner, can do, like don't be tempted to do like big pulls. Yeah. Just like take the daily pulls. You will eventually have more units than you can ever like imagine. Yeah. And as long as you're borrowing a friend, everything's fine. And like right now they're running an event. So this is another thing that I really like. A lot of gachas with events, I can only make it so far into an event and I can't get the cool rewards out of it. Yeah. It becomes too hard. The way Exvius does their rewards are, did you earn enough points and what would you like to spend your points on? There's stuff in the point shop that I, as a high-level player, am like, I want those things. They're way more expensive. But a brand new player would look at some of the cheaper stuff, or even some of the stuff that I would just be like, I don't want that. I've got way
for
better.
Me, I'm redeeming my points for, like, The cool thing about events is right now there's a King Mog focused event where for anyone that doesn't play, like you'll play right now it's a Final Fantasy 3 event. You'll fight a couple of fights and you'll get maybe like 200 points. Right now it's like wing claws or something weird.
Something.
But that's like the middle difficulty. If you go for the really high difficulty, maybe you'll get 500 per set of battles. So what's cool is, like Mina's saying, you go to the shop, and for her, you might be pulling high-level equipment or awakening materials or stuff. For me, I'm going in and I'm saying, like, hey, there's really cheap summon tickets, so, like, I can pull more units by just playing a little bit, and then, due to that, I had more ahead than I was a couple of days ago.
And those metal gigantars, I believe, are like 100 a piece. And leveling up units fast as a new player is super beneficial.
Yeah.
I feel like Brave Exvius is more accommodating when it comes to somebody trying to like get into this wall garden.
Yep.
Whereas like a lot of gacha games, I see like the veteran players that they're so far ahead, or the people who spend money are so far ahead that I could never catch up, and I was always trying to climb this garden that was just basically impenetrable.
Yeah.
And I've seen like a lot of people have success with, hey, I have a friend that's like got this super powered 1,000 attack TG Sid, or right now I have the Ice Mage up, the Fravia.
Yeah, I just used that unit this morning, and it did some good work.
She's a monster.
Yeah.
She's a monster. If you there's a way for like even new players, if they know how to use my Fravia right, they can actually solo the elite stage with her.
Oh, nice.
But you kind of have to like that requires just knowing like what ability to press and what stuff to bring along. But it's that sort of thing where like even though like I've got people who are like rank 20 or whatever, they're able to like do stuff with just me, like the hardest current event with just me, instead of like where Record Keeper was, boy, I really need to have like a full arsenal here to take on the content that's going to give me the level break 3 or whatever, and etc.
Like, there's the thing that I liked about Record Keeper was it encouraged you to have as many units with the game-specific equipment. So, like, the banner would be a Final Fantasy V one, and all the dungeons would be Final Fantasy V related. So you would want to use all 5 characters from that game, and as many, like, weapons and armor pieces and skills that were from that game, they'd all synergize together. Right. But, like you're saying, that's not really great for newcomers, and that game would encourage you to go play the story mode, which is kind of boring, and instead you're supposed to ignore this like flashy new banner where it's like, look at all this new stuff. What I like about Exvius is what you're saying is you can start, and it immediately, even if you don't have any friends on Facebook or friends on Twitter or anything that you can join,
random people.
Yeah, it will just show you like 10 people just that are playing the game on the internet, and you can, even if you don't friend them, you can use their unit, and they could be super, super powerful.
So what's really nice about, like you're saying, is that like a lot of people I know, just like they work really hard to get rank ups, because once they get high enough rank, a lot of the random people on that aren't even on their friends list they can borrow.
Right.
So, I mean, it's friendly. I think of all of the Final Fantasy gachas that I've gone through, Exvius just seems the most friendly. I think there are things that they can fix. I know that eventually we're going to get the 3% rainbow rollout. That's supposed to come in probably going to come in a couple of months. I'm going to guess like Christmas, basically, or there's no way we're going to go halfway into next year without an increased rainbow rate.
Yeah, what Mina's talking about, for anyone that's not playing, is basically rainbows are the highest pull. You know, it's going to be the strongest characters that you're pulling. Right now, it's a 1% chance to pull those, which is basically flushing your money down the toilet.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that.
it's just not going to happen. And the increased one will be 3%, which, compared to another game that I play occasionally, and I think Mina's going to be talking about later, which their increased at the end of the month moves from 3 to 6%, which is a shockingly high improvement.
It is.
1 to 3% is sort of still like, that's okay.
I think that's why they're going to do it sooner than later, because I feel like this isn't so much for me, because it doesn't matter for me. I'm fine with what I have. I don't need anything. Like, getting them's nice, but there's plenty of, like, 4-star units or 3-star units that you can get by on. The people that I truly feel bad for are, like, the dolphins and whales, as they call themselves, or the people who spend money. Those people I feel bad for, because that's a lot of money to throw down the drain and not get a return back on, which is why I think that rollout will happen sooner than later, because that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, I was actually pretty frustrated by when I started playing is during the Nier Automata event, and you could get Adam, Eve, Operator 210, 9S, A2, and 2B. And A2 and 2B were both really, really, really rare, and I didn't know that. I was just, like, pulling like crazy. I was like, they've got to show up at some point, and I did some research, and it's like, no, they have a 1% chance. I was like, I will never see those. And shock of shocks, I didn't see those.
Not only are they 1%, but that 1% is technically split. So this is the worst part about the rainbow rates. Because this is why I've told multiple people you don't chase rainbows.
Yeah.
So that's a 1% rainbow rate. It's only a 0.5% of on-banner rainbow rate. And if it's 0.5 and there's 2 units that are rainbows on there,
cut that in half again.
It's a 0.25 for either one. Shockingly, I daily pulled 2B.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
By some miracle, I am really happy about that. I love her.
Yeah.
But I'm just. But if you look at, like, a lot of the 4-star units, they are just as good. So I don't feel cheated, because the 4% are 4 stars are better.
Yeah.
So moving past that one and on to the next gacha game, I started playing Granblue.
Mm-hmm.
And that, first of all, I'm crazy, and I will re-roll if I feel the need to.
Yeah.
And I felt the need to.
Okay.
So I re-rolled, and this is one of the worst re-rolls of re-roll gachas ever. I hated re-rolling for
It's hard
this.
to do it. It seems because they wanted to make it hard for you to re-roll.
They don't want you to.
Yeah. They want you to roll once and then start spending money.
Yes. Very much so. I eventually started, and so I don't know how far you got in Granblue. Do you know what chapter you might have made it to, like, roughly?
I can fire it up here. I'll open up my... So, one of the things I love about Granblue Fantasy is you can either play it... They have an iOS and Android app, which you absolutely should not use because it is garbage. What I do is I just fire up the website.
So do I.
And
Chrome.
just play that on, like, Chrome on my phone. So I just fired up the website here on the computer I'm using to record this, which hopefully won't bite me in the butt. Let's get our daily bonus. I'm going to get some half elixirs. All right, moving on. Sure, next thing. Yep. What am I on? I'm pretty far. All right, hold on. I don't care about...
I wonder how far you are, because I may have played this a lot, so this is going to be really embarrassing if I've caught up to you.
Stage for September's regular. Okay. Quest. I am on chapter 16?
I'm on chapter 50.
Wow. That,
So...
That's pretty far.
So let me say something about the difficulty we're talking about here. Prior to chapter 50, I was able to just do whatever I wanted.
Easy.
It's easy.
Yeah.
I hit chapter 50 and I suddenly got introduced to like Nintendo hard, Atlas hard. I don't like slap
SMT4
whatever
hard.
Like we will talk about that in a minute.
Oh
But
boy.
the difficulty just it wasn't like a nice easy slope up. It was a straight up difficulty.
Full on 90 degrees.
It slapped me. So I had just gotten done basically hitting what I will call auto attack.
Yeah.
On the previous chapter, I was like, just auto attack. Yeah, this is fine. I'm cruising through this. Everything's cool. I get to this chapter. I go to this boss, and you know, it was like a boss. So I was like, okay, I don't auto on a boss. I feel bad about that, so I'm gonna break his attack, break his defense. I'm gonna do all the smart things. And then I looked at his health, and he was still at 99%.
Oh no.
And I was like, no, everything was fine. What just happened? And then
no.
I proceeded to I couldn't beat him, and it wasn't even, so they give you like full elixirs, which you can just like completely revive your entire party with max limit break or whatever you want to call it.
There's no punishment for it either. It's just like, hey, if you have these items, like you can just keep banging your head against the wall.
But I was at 99%, and everybody died.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, okay. Well, at first, because like the thing is like they've introduced battles that are like you'll die to, and then it's like that was a story death, and so I was thinking like, oh, this is probably going to be a story death.
Sure.
And it was like failed mission, and I was like, by the way, you can level up your characters if you're having problems, and I was like,
oh no, what have I done?
Everything's wrong.
Yeah.
So, Granblue has first of all, it's a pretty good story. I heard that there's an anime too that I haven't seen.
Yeah, I've heard the anime is fine. The thing that I'm surprised about with Granblue is that number one, it's a Japanese only game, and they do have an English version. Basically, the very first screen is like a big blue button. You drop that down and pick English, and the whole thing is translated except for like an occasional line or so. The translation is really good, and everything is translated day and date for when the new content comes out. So it's not like, oh, you know, this new chapter came out, but it's only in Japanese for a couple weeks. Like it's right there. And the story is actually, it's at the beginning, it's fairly JRPG predictable.
Yep.
But it's pretty well written, and a lot of the characters are pretty fun. I was expecting to kind of fast forward through most of it, like the beginning of Brave Exvius, which is not bad. It's not good. But it's pretty well written. It's a good time.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best gacha with the story. That's all I could say is very well written. There are things I like about it, things I don't like about it. Definitely hitting that difficulty curve was a shocker to me, so I definitely have to wait for Monday to roll around before I can really farm out some materials to like upgrade my units and maybe reapproach this again and see how I do. Because admittedly, I've been sprinting through the content. I was expecting a curve of difficulty, though, you know? Like, I was expecting, like, eventually I wasn't able to just, like, auto-attack my way to win. I didn't expect basically the wall that I hit.
Have you been doing, like, the side quests for each chapter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I completed Shin.
Oh,
Or are you talking about the characters?
No, so that... I always forget the terminology, because for each character that you pull that's over...
Side stories.
Yeah, like over rare or something, they all have this little introductory story that is kind of cool, and then you get extra chapters the more you level up. But each chapter has, like, side quests where it's like,
Yeah,
two or three
I've done all
lines, and then you
this.
fight 3 battles, and then there's 2 or 3 lines. A lot of
Yeah.
those give you whatever currency it is to pull. That's how I got most of my units.
Oh, crystals. I think
Crystals,
it's crystals.
yeah.
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 And Legend Fest is about to end, so I'm going to stop pulling, and I'm just going to hoard up until the next Legend Fest.
I made a mistake really early on where I waited for Legend Fest, which is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about doubling up. It moves from 3% to 6% for those that aren't playing, and that 3% increase makes a huge difference. I made a mistake during my first, what I thought was Leg Fest, which is what people call it. A new banner came up where it's like, new SSR rates, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I have like a bunch of pull tickets, and I have like 6,000 crystals. I'm gonna pull like crazy, and I didn't get any SSRs, super rares, the highest tier. And I was like, what the heck happened? And I realized there's a draw rates button. Since it's a Japanese gacha game, they need to, I believe it's by law now, say what the pull rates are, and it was still at 3%. I didn't pull during Legfest, I pulled during a new banner, and I was just like, no! What have I done?
That's one of the best things about Japanese gachas. I gotta say, it's something that we really need to adopt over here. I think that it just needs to happen, guys. Come on,
show me the rates.
Because it's like, the thing is the supposed rates that we know on Brave Exvius, we assume to be a 1% rate.
Right.
We assume. I would say it's probably accurate, but the fact that it's not, it's not being said is no.
Pretty bad.
Tell me.
Give me the numbers.
I need specific numbers.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is basically what whales have averaged out. Like, this is how we found it out, was just basically like a single person who does basically $5,000 worth of pulls was like, here's everything I pulled.
Here's my
figure
spreadsheet.
out, do some math. No, they did some legit spreadsheets. So that's how we kind of know that these have to be the numbers, but it's still kind of BS that we don't know.
Yeah. Have you guys ever read the arguments about those numbers? Like in the Fire Emblem Reddit, which I occasionally pop into, like like someone will be like, yeah, I pulled 2 of these guys, and then someone will reply, no, you didn't. You couldn't have done that because this probability math doesn't work out.
Oh, that's
and
impossible.
Someone will reply to them, then say, no, you forgot to do this, and then another person, like, it just turns into this crazy mess of like
math arguments.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
And the reality is that there's 100% chance that somebody could have done it if it happened.
Also,
I've
be
seen
super excited that somebody pulled 2 cool units on 1 pull, because that's pretty rare.
That means there's a chance that it could happen again to anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw somebody who pulled 4 rainbows on a single 10+1 pull on Brave Exvius.
Oh,
4 rainbows.
Go buy
4 rainbows
ticket.
in 1. Right? And I was like, that's incredible. The highest that I'd seen prior to that was just 2. And I was like, I thought that was the pinnacle, and then I saw somebody with 4, and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, Musim, I have seen that. I didn't see that a lot in the Record Keeper subreddit, but I have seen that a lot in Brave Exvius, where it's like, well, if we assume 1% and you pulled this, then that means you really did this, and it's just like, oh god, okay. It's just, we all know it's rare. I got it.
It's just funny how worked up everyone gets about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of mind blowing.
Reddit on Brave Exvius can be almost near cancer.
It's a little,
if not.
It's a little hardcore. It's one of my favorite subreddits has been the Marvel Puzzle Quest one.
Is it bad?
No, it's actually really great. It's it's probably second only to the Destiny subreddit in regards to welcoming newcomers. Where it's like, hey, welcome to the game. Here are the things you should do. Here's the things you shouldn't do. Like, show us your cool pulls. Like, we'll all celebrate cool pulls that you do. And like, it's really great about not being like, okay, you didn't pull this thing, so delete your account, start back, wipe your phone. Like, it's not like that. And
so bad about that.
I still really like You know, like, even in the Destiny subreddit, Destiny's been out for 3 years now, there are still people that are like, I ran a raid and I pulled this cool thing, and the whole community is like, that's awesome! This is an awesome thing! Like, yay! You know, that's what I want it to be. Like, let's celebrate. You pulled that thing once, too. Like, let's all celebrate.
It's just...
A little off topic, sorry.
I mean,
No,
you guys got me talked into Brave Exvius on the condition that I either give up Fire Emblem or Marvel Puzzle Quest.
I would give
up Fire Emblem. Give up Fire Emblem. Play Brave Exvius with us.
I put so much time into Fire Emblem, though.
Here's the great part, though. You're friends with me at the very least on Facebook, and you can be friends with Mina too. I'm sure.
And I guarantee you, like, you could be carried through. Like,
we will carry you. There's only
99% of the game.
There's only one set of footprints through Brave Exvius. That's because we're friends on Facebook. I would recommend Brave Exvius because I think it is probably the most generous. Like Mina's saying, it's the most generous to new players, and the amount of content. Like, I told my brother, I was like, oh yeah, I unlocked the 4th island. He's like, that's cool. You have like 4 more islands of story content to go. And I was like, okay, cool. I still have like 20 more hours of stuff, and they keep adding more stuff. It's pretty great.
So they also introduced, for the people who have too much gil in the game, like me, I don't remember if I announced this the last time I talked about it, but they have like expeditions, which you can send people out. Yeah, we talked
about that a little bit.
Okay. That's one of the best things they've added in the game, where you can kind of send people out to get materials and stuff that you need.
It's like the Final Fantasy Tactics thing. I don't remember what those were called.
Oh yeah, that's exactly this. We had this conversation last time.
Yeah,
this exact conversation.
Okay,
I remember now.
Well, we're consistent, if anything.
It's one of my favorite things they added, just because there are things that I still need as a veteran player. Like, I still benefit from getting these mega crisps, but I don't want to spend my energy on going and traveling to these
exploration zones.
Yeah, the explorations.
Yeah. Well, and you get to level up lower level units, which is huge for me, because I have so many. I have like 100 something units right now, 135, I think it is, and that's without spending any money. For anyone listening, and
generous.
It's very generous. And like 115 of them are level 1. So it's like, well, I'm going to keep sending these people out so I can level them up and then awaken them and make them stronger and stronger. So maybe at some point they'll be a little more worthwhile in my party. But yeah, Brave Exvius is great. I keep killing my battery because I keep playing it.
I don't know if you do this, but beginners at the game oftentimes find Arena pretty frustrating, which I agree with. Arena has to be frustrating for brand new players.
That's the PvP stuff.
That's the PvP stuff. I still recommend that everybody, regardless of if you can or can't, like, attempt Arena 5 times a day, because you get 40 lapis and a star quartz out of that deal. Yep. And that goes a long way, just doing that 5 times a day. And
yeah, I usually go in there and I'll find the strongest party I can and just get my face punched off in like 1 or 2 turns, and I get rewarded for it.
Yeah, and if you're trying to like actually win it, there's a lot of like cheesy low level characters that can cheese a lot of these arena matches. Like, for example, building a mage team is actually super viable to like destroy a lot of other teams. Yeah. You might die because you're squishy, but if you get to get a punch in, they're going to die.
Yeah.
There's Vanille, who has that AoE death as her limit break, so you can just kind of say AoE death by 60% on everything or whatever, and kind of eliminate a lot of units that way. There's like a lot of really cool units that can, even though they don't reach the high level stars, they can kind of cheese out a lot of even the most meta of teams.
Yeah. Go play Brave Exvius. It's surprisingly really good.
Yes. Yeah. Moving beyond the mobile and the gacha games. Yeah. Leaving gacha. So I played a ridiculous amount of the demo for Monster Hunter Stories.
Oh, yeah.
Just coming out this month. And when I mean ridiculous amount, I mean I think my last total was like 50 hours into this demo.
Wow.
So...
Is it still a demo at this point?
Yeah,
that's
basically.
a good question.
It's a free game.
I think I got my money's worth out of this demo,
Yeah.
which was $0. So first of all, if you're just kind of like, well, I don't know, first of all, it's not Monster Hunter. It's not the Monster Hunter that if you've ever played Monster Hunter and you were like, wow, this game is not for me, that is not Monster Hunter Stories. The demo is worth trying if that's in your mind where you're like, I don't want to play that game. Try Monster Hunter Stories because it's an RPG.
Like a traditional RPG?
Like a traditional one.
Okay.
Like turn-based-y sort of one. And before you even buy the game, try the demo. Because this is the best demo I have ever seen for any game ever, because I got a full sense of what this game is supposed to be, and it let me play way farther than I thought it was going to let me play, and it let me do basically what I consider all of like the big bulk of the content. It would be like the equivalent if like Pokemon gave a demo that you could go all the way to the first gym and do all the story there, and you could grind out and collect all the Pokemons and like prior to that gym or whatever, but like enough content that felt like even if I was just trying to like rush through it, it felt like about 12 hours of demo content. Wow. It felt so dense, like just, and I enjoyed it so much that I was like, you know what, I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna try and hatch more monsters, see if I can get like a really strong monster, and then when the real game comes out, I can carry this over into my actual game and have a super strong monster. And all this money and all this equipment, all like what did I call it? I think I forged it or reforged or made it stronger, whatever. I enhanced it. Mm-hmm. All my armor and weapons. What else did I do? I stockpiled like about 30-40 monsters that had different abilities and stuff, because I believe you're able to like steal their abilities and put them onto other monsters in the game proper or whatever. So I was like, I'll just farm these little guys and I'll have some abilities stocked up that I can just throw on things. And I earned like a lot of money and a lot of materials because I farmed so many monsters, because I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna collect all this money and monster materials. Then like, I don't know, it got really fun.
It sunk its hooks into you.
It did, and I think it's worth trying. I really do.
This is 3DS, right?
Yes, the 3DS. And I believe it comes out this month. And if you're unsure about it, hey, the demo's free. It's really good. And, I mean, it couldn't come with more of a recommendation than that. I will say that the combat is basically rock, paper, scissors with kind of a little bit of a twist. So it's not like a like, choose your ability menu or whatever. It's very much a rock, paper, scissors, and your monster companion is kind of like AI based and kind of not. It's you get the hang of it pretty quick. It's not like meant for like I don't think this is meant for a super serious RPG. It's another super cute one. But I had too much fun with it. So great demo. Probably gonna buy the game. The next game I played is like the polar opposite of that game. Like, and I had started playing this before, and I don't think I talked about it last month because I don't think I started it. Maybe I did. I don't remember. I started playing SMT4 again.
Oh, and, yeah.
Nice.
Did I
don't think we
this?
talked about this last month.
Okay. Yeah. So I started over, and, you know, I had, you know, kind of, you know, gotten far in SMT4 before, but I started over because I was like, you know, I don't remember anything. I'll just start over and see what it's about.
Oh,
and
boy.
I got to the dungeon place. I don't remember what it's called now.
Like that very first dungeon.
the first dungeon.
Yeah.
You just, and like your tutorial is that you have to like, you know, like befriend some monsters, and this is like we're talking about the first 10 seconds of entering this dungeon. It's like, hey, go collect some monster companions so that way you can fight with more than just yourself.
Yep.
I died on my first encounter.
SMT4.
Like, oh man, I forgot it was this hard. I was like,
yeah.
Oh.
The beginning of the game is...
Did you do your usual and put it on the hardest difficulty?
So, I don't think so I didn't remember this because I was like, it doesn't have a difficulty slider when you start it. You start that game, no difficulty slider, you don't pick it. When you die, you get sent to the underworld, like as long as you don't like try and reset your game.
Right.
And the dude's there like, hey, if you pay me some play coins or give me some money, I'll send you back, and you know, blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, I don't want to spend my play coins, and I don't have any maca, and I don't want to spend that. So then the second time you die, the game slaps you across the face with a, hey, you know what? We're going to add the difficulty bar for you because you've died twice, and maybe you need a little help because you're not so good at this game.
I forgot about that.
SMT4, please stop shaming.
You're insulting me, sir.
I'm like, this is so embarrassing that I've died like before I even got to the first real mission.
Yeah. That game, that whole first dungeon, including that first boss, is not messing around.
Whoa! So I will tell you the Wendigo. If you didn't prepare yourself for Wendigo, which is the first... I don't even know if he's considered a boss. Is he considered a boss?
Mini boss.
Or is he a sub-boss? Yeah, he's a mini-boss.
Yeah.
Whoa! If your character is not resisting some ice, you aren't going to make past this. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm looking up the walkthrough.
You really have to get on some fusions too. This is not one that you can just like not care about fusions. And also, you really have to be careful on how you spend your level ups and how you put in your stat points.
Yes.
Like SMT4 does not mess around, and it's extremely unforgiving if you aren't going to do this stuff.
Yeah, the first first real boss is the Disaster Horde.
I didn't make it to that one before I died like 4 or 5 times. I got hit by Wendigo.
Yeah, that game is tough. It's the weird part is sort of like Nocturne. You know, Nocturne has the famous Matador fight. You know, once you make it past this first dungeon, it's pretty manageable after that. It's still pretty tough, but it's not nearly as kick you in the teethy as the beginning is.
Yeah. It's you really have to get going, and you have to be careful about what things you get, especially your apps. You have to be very careful on what apps you pick, because some apps will just help you get through the game, whereas others just kind of extend your grinding time that you're gonna have to spend in there. Because I did restart the game after I opened up the wrong apps and I had forgotten, and it got to a point where I was like, I'm having problems, like I'm constantly grinding. You need to get scout stuff. Get scout stuff first immediately. It helps you capture monsters, it lowers the cost of monsters, it helps you get more items and money out of monsters. It's just basically like saying, you know what, I want to do this in a timely manner and not spend double my time playing this game trying to do the same amount. So scout is super important. I thankfully am not a complete noob at SMT. I built magic.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I know SMT. You don't go balance. Balance is bad.
Yeah.
You make a hard line decision on if you want to be a magic magic main character or a physical main character, and set in your ways.
Yeah.
So I set into magical because I've always preferred elemental stuff. and I just bring along somebody to handle the physical bosses when necessary. I made it past... Where did I stop? This is... after you get to a certain part in the first dungeon, you go back to your hometown, and then you go back to that dungeon again. I made it to like halfway to the next big story beat.
Oh, okay.
When you return back there. SMT4, I forgot how difficult you were, and was reminded immediately.
Yeah.
So then I was like, you know what, while I was playing SMT4, I got a little frustrated because everything was so hard, and I was like, alright, I need to take like a step back from this game, like reevaluate things, calm down a little bit. I'm going to play a different game. I'm going to play Devil Survivor Overclocked.
Oh.
Great.
Because I was like, I need something easier. I'm just going to go play Devil Survivor and see, like, because I never actually beat the thing proper.
Oh, no.
Um...
Okay, great. So, which ending did you mistakenly choose then to try and beat?
So, I got to a part where, because the thing was like I was like, I'll just pick whatever choices seem to be the best. I got to, what was it? The decision point, and like and my friend was like, what endings do you have as available? And I told them, and they're like, you should go Yuzu's route at this point, because you will not enjoy your time. I forget what the other option was. The other option, apparently, he said, was the hardest one in the game.
Oh, good.
And he's like, without like a lot of grinding, I wasn't going to get past it, and I wasn't going to have a fun time. And they're like, Yuzu's route is the easiest, and you'll get New Game Plus, and you'll be able to breeze through the content again and basically pick a better selection for endings and have a much happier time and sleep better at night, not crying over the difficulty.
You just have to live with yourself making the worst decisions you can.
Decisions. Because basically, what I've heard from a lot of people is how much they hate Yuzu's route, and I disagree. That I don't hate Yuzu's route. I think you get exactly what you deserve when you go Yuzu's route. You make these decisions
you reap
knowing.
What you sow.
Yeah, you can't. If you're going to do something absolutely stupid and obviously not going to work, like any bad, obviously bad decision in your life, if you make that decision and you don't get punished for it, I don't know what to say, because so Yuzu's route is appropriate. It's a bad route, and it's fully justified because she's got bad decisions. She's constantly making them throughout the entire game. She kind of lets you know everything she wants to do is just like, I want to run away, I want to escape, when that's obviously not going to happen.
Right.
Everything points to no happy ending doing that. So just abandoning everything to try and do the dumb thing is going to end up pretty dumb.
Yeah.
And I guess her ending is always available because Yuzu always wants to escape regardless of whatever you do. She's kind of like your default, so you screwed up and didn't get any ending, then you can get this ending.
They don't have a lot of great female characters, and it's funny because the first one, you don't really get too many. You get Yuzu in your party, who's just a terrible human being. And then, you have, it seemed like the military chick was alright, but she's, I can't remember. It's been so long since I played that game.
Remember her name either, the orange-haired girl.
But then, the second game, Devil Survivor 2, you get all these really, interesting and complex female characters that are all, I never know a polite way to say it, but they're all, super sexualized characters.
Yeah.
So
that game series does not have a great track record with them, but
I beat Yuzu's route predictable bad ending. I'm okay with this. That's I knew what was going to happen because it's pretty rote that it's not going to end well. But after I did that, I was like, you know what I never bought? You know what I never played?
Oh no.
Devil Survivor 2. I'm going to hop into that. and I'm sure I'll go and get another ending with Devil Survivor. I have to get the Laura Bailey ending, okay?
Well,
that's just, I'm gonna have to do that, which is going to be probably the first time in SMT history SMT game history that I've ever gone law, because I never go law. I'm always chaos, or somewhere in between, but never law.
Don't go law in SMT4.
It's bad, but
oh god,
but Laura Bailey's law, so
yeah.
So though. On Devil Survivor, Devil Survivor 1 in particular, the replays are super, super quick.
I heard that.
I'm talking 2 to 4 hours quick.
Oh, wow.
That's what why my friend advised me to do Yuzu's, because he said I unlock some new personas or whatever to fuse by doing her ending anyways.
Well, yeah, and it's been too long since I've done it, but they do the typical extra bosses you can fight, extra monsters you can get, and once you get everything, you can go and fight, Lucifer, which I never beat Lucifer. He was too hard, and I didn't feel like doing what I needed to do, but, I remember most of the endings being entertaining. I did Yuzu's route, I think, last, which was a huge mistake. The first one I did,
disappointing.
I don't remember what it was, but it was just 2 boss fights that that they almost broke me. It was, whatever it was just way too difficult for the first time. But, subsequent playthroughs, you get all the higher level, personas. It's great. Devil Survivor 2.
The skill cracking, since you skill cracked all the way through the first time around, you didn't get everything, but you got a lot of it. So when you go and do the second time around, a lot of those skill cracks are done, and you can pick up the skill cracks you didn't grab the first time around. So it just kind of compounds and becomes easier and easier and easier. Which is nice.
I really love that first game for the most part. I wish I could transfer my save to the overclocked version so I could see the extra content. I just don't have it in me to go through that game again.
Yeah.
But so what do you think of the second one so far?
So the second one, I'm trying to... how far am I in the second one? I know... Okay, I'm trying to think of non-spoilery ways. I'm trying to remember the... So there was something going on at a different district where there was fighting between the people who belonged in the place or who worked at the place or who owned the place and the outsiders. I finished that boss.
Okay, so you finished the second area basically?
Is this the second or this the third?
Are you talking about the one where they're fighting over food?
Did that come before or after the one where I had to save my best friend?
I think you're right. I think that's the third one. It's been a long time because the first time you fight that umbrella thingy that explodes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easy.
And then, oh crap! I don't remember the second and third boss.
There was the one that did the laser beam straight down the middle.
Okay, I think that's number 2.
And then there's the food one, which I think is the third one.
Yeah.
The third one was easy too. The second one was the one that was hard for me, and I don't know if it was because I just wasn't playing intelligently, but there was a lot going on in that fight. There was the laser beams going down, but also I wanted to skill crack, and there was a lot of moving parts to try and get that one to not fail on me, and. But I found the third one to be almost face roll easy. I don't know what happened between the second and the third one. I believe those are... Yeah, I think I'm working my way towards a fourth one or whatever.
Okay. I don't remember how the difficulty in that game at all. I remember because I played so much of the first one, I kind of knew what I needed to do on my first playthrough to make sure that my subsequent playthroughs were a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I didn't get all the endings in that one. I got like 2 of the endings, and it just took too long to get through the game for me to go get the others. So.
I'm. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. This is. See, the thing is I haven't played this one in a little bit, but it's not so fresh.
You're probably halfway through the game, honestly, because I think there's only like 6 or. The problem is like I read a review that compared whatever those creatures were to the angels of Evangelion, so I always want to call them angels.
Right.
It is.
No, it does. You're right. That's exactly how it feels like. It feels like they're angels from Evangelion. That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah, and it's you get one every X amount of time, and each one is slightly different that you have to, figure out how to destroy. And
so exactly like Ava.
Something just occurred to me, like
they're all named after the stars of like the Big Dipper or something, or some sort of.
Oh no! Like, okay, I don't want to spoil this. Oh man!
Don't spoil it.
I just realized how much of a ripoff of Ava it was because of one of the angels. Anyway, whatever they're called. But yeah, they're all the big. You're right. It's all the stars of the Big Dipper or something like that.
They're all named after the stars of the Big Dipper. Yeah. So like each boss had its own gimmick, right? There was the I don't remember the first one too well because I feel like I creamed that one pretty good. The second one I remember so distinctly because, like, basically if you walk between like any of these squares or whatever, you would get laser beamed, but you also needed to protect protect the flag basically on 2 points on the other side of the map with respawning enemies on that side of the map. And also, the boss was sending out drones to explode the bases, and like I wasn't able to take down these bombs at all. So it was basically I had to both boss rush, I had to skill crack, I had to there was a lot of things. So what I ended up doing was I remember this boss so well. I put the 2 girls I had at the time, Io and the Osaka girl. I don't remember her name. The one...
Like the young redhead, the old redhead that's not basically wearing a shirt.
Yeah, that one. The one that's basically not wearing a shirt. She was the one... I had those 2 standing basically on the points. Like, on top of the points. I don't remember her name. She was from Osaka though. Like she made a point of always like pointing out that she's from Osaka, and I was like, Osaka women are like this and blah blah blah, and I was like, I don't remember her name.
She was the dancer. Like she's actually a really good character. She just had her
she
clothes
didn't really
were
shirt.
Yeah. She basically just wore a vest that just magically stayed in place.
A magical vest. A magical vest. I don't understand how it works. I had her and Io stand on the points, and they were skill cracking those 2 enemies that kept respawning, and then I sent is his name Daisuke?
Your friend.
Yeah.
Daisuke, or is that the guy from the first game?
No, that's Atsuro, because the first one is definitely Atsuro because I called him Atsubro because he's cool. I like him. Atsubro. This guy, I feel like his name begins with a D. Anyways,
you're right, it is Daisuke. Daisuke, or I don't know how to say it.
I always heard it Daisuke.
Okay.
That's probably it. I sent the main character and him after the boss, and basically had them stand on the 2 tippy tip points where I could attack the boss and not get laser beamed on either side. And I tried it like a bunch of different times. I don't know if I did this right. I feel like I missed out on how to properly do this fight, but it felt like a boss rush where I just had to like rush the boss as soon as fast. Like, you can't mess around, because if those bombs make it to that point, or you keep having to play, you know, just, you know, trying to stay alive against these respawning monsters that hurt really bad, you were just not going to win. So I don't, like, that one I couldn't wait it out. Like, the third one I could wait out easily. So,
just 2 pieces of friendly advice on Devil Survivor 2 specifically.
Okay.
All the angel fights you will do in every single playthrough, so don't stress out about skill cracking all of them your first time through.
Okay.
There are a lot of kind of mini boss fights that you will encounter that are optional throughout it. Those you should worry about skill cracking, because you don't have to select them for every single ending. And sometimes you won't have time to do them, and it'll cause certain characters to be dead so you can get that ending.
Oh, speaking of, so I had a character die, and I felt pretty bad about it. And that was probably, so Devil Survivor 1, I felt like really let you know when you weren't going to save someone, like really, really hammered it home for you that, like, this was, if you don't do this, this person's going to die.
Yeah.
This one, I felt like if you don't make, like, a lot of effort towards saving someone, they're probably going to die. You have to make effort in advance. Advanced effort.
Yeah. I think there is only one ending. You know, I know that might even be wrong. I'm not sure that there's an ending where you get to save everyone in that game. I feel like there's one where you can, but it is like only one, and like it's probably not the first one you should go for. But I'm guessing it's the character that got kidnapped for you.
No, thank goodness I did not have that happen, because I would feel really bad if that had happened. No, the one that died on me was the one who didn't want to show me around.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting people confused. That's the guy I meant. Yeah, because he wasn't kidnapped. You just saw his death at the subway place.
Yeah, he just falls down.
Yeah, no, he died.
I thought I was going to make it in time. I looked at the time clock. I'm like, good, I can make in time. I can go do this thing. And the thing is you have to go in advance. Like, you have to be there, like, before the time.
Yeah.
To save him, and I didn't know that. I thought if you were on time, you would be able to save him. No.
So the other thing I want to mention is most of the bosses you have to do on a rush. Like, most of them you have to play like that second one if you want everyone in that battle to survive, because you're going to presented. There are multiple battles where you're going to have multiple of those angel bosses you're fighting, and you're going to have NPCs that you aren't controlling that are there that you have to keep alive.
Oh man.
Well, you don't have to keep them alive all the time, but point being is most of the time you just have to rush it. But, like, just get used to thinking your first playthrough as in get all the skill cracks that aren't the bosses. If you can get them in your first time, cool. Don't kill yourself on the game trying to do it, though. It'll be way easier the second time.
Right. I think...
And also, I guess there's probably an argument, too, for what skill in particular they have that you're trying to crack. Like, how much easier is that going to make your life? Because your second playthrough, it'll be way easy to get them all, you know?
Yeah. So. I think I know which ones to go after. I always go for the passive ones, first of all. Like, if I see the, whatever it is, the one that party buff or whatever it is, if somebody has one of those party buffs, it's getting cracked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm not going to mess around on that one. I don't care what other ability you have. If you know, like, some sort of Vanguard, whatever, like, plus defense, plus attack, so I don't care. That's passive. You're getting cracked. But yeah, no, I have a lot of Devil Survivor 1 knowledge carried over into the second one.
Absolutely. And you're very... I'm not meaning to... I don't know. Hopefully I'm not coming off as a jerk or anything. You're obviously very smart and way better at these games than I am, since you always play them on the most difficult setting half the time.
I like
not to mention how quickly you go through them at that rate. with the exception of Persona 5 for some reason. What's up with that?
That one's been going slow because I've been recording it. Like, I have to record and edit and record and edit.
I'm sorry.
Slowing me down. I
couldn't resist.
No, that bugs me, but it's like something that I have to. Yeah. It takes so much time to do.
Absolutely.
But anyways, moving past Devil Survivor 2 because I've talked enough about it. It's really good. I don't know if I like it more or less than the first one. I enjoyed the first one quite a bit. I liked a lot that it had going for it. Second one is more or less, I think, if you like the first one, you'll probably like this one. I don't know if it made any, like, huge leaps of improvements, but then again, I'm playing both Overclocked and whatever the enhanced
some
version.
other title.
So you've seen a bunch of stuff that I haven't seen then, because I own those versions, but I haven't played them.
So that's the reason for those. Now,
oh wait, no, I did play them because I didn't play Devil Survivor 2 until that new version came out. I forgot about that.
Okay.
I lucked out there, so sorry.
By the way, there were some of those non-angel boss fights were harder than the angel boss fights.
Absolutely.
There was one that if I didn't have teleport, I don't know how anybody could have done this fight without like teleport or walk through or whatever that ability is that lets
teleport is like one of the most important skills in a Devil Survivor game, like both of them. There are battles that you will probably not win unless you have a character with...
You have to save someone. Like, that was my problem, was I had to save this person, and there were, like, basically 2 enemies that were going to walk up to him and...
Yeah.
Beat him in unless I killed one. Like, I had to kill one, so I had to, like, teleport in, and... I hated that fight. Yeah. I redid that fight so many times because I was like trying to do it with all sorts of like devil speed, and I eventually broke down and I was like, I need to get somebody with flight or whatever, and just drop in there and just nuke everything.
Sweet. Yeah.
So, and that there was that food fight. The not the boss one, but the food one, the one with the when you get introduced to that girl. I hated that fight. At the mall or whatever it was.
The initial one. Yeah, and that one it's hard to get everyone in that. And then there's that later one where you... So it's funny, like we really probably need to move on, but it's funny, like the one where I think it's Daisuke or someone is captured by the food people, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And is tied up there. I didn't see the first time I played that fight, I couldn't figure out how to to save him once I got up to him, and for some reason I just wasn't seeing the menu option like an idiot, and then like he died after it and I had to reload and do it all again, and I was just like, what am I doing wrong?
That one was great because of the little thing that one of the characters does that I won't spoil. Oh my god, I love that.
That was great. Yeah.
That was cute. So moving on beyond that, I played a bit of Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valencia.
I don't know how you pronounce it.
That one. It I like the other Fire Emblems more.
This is a remake of an early one, right?
Yeah,
so it doesn't have all the standard modern systems.
No, and it does some other things differently. Like, I'm trying to like pinpoint exactly why I don't like it. Is the thing. Well, I know why. Oh, I know I can tell you exactly why, because this is a problem that happens to me with games. Whenever you get rid of like characters in my party for whatever reason, I don't care what arbitrary reason you have for removing a character from my party, but whenever you do that, I have a bad time with your game.
Yeah.
It's like the worst thing ever. Like suddenly your healer is gone, or suddenly you have to, make do with only 2 characters instead of your 4, and then
the
like
fighter with all the good equipment is gone.
Yeah, and then like that sort of feeling just kind of weighs down upon you. Well, in this case, I had worked really, really hard on the main party, or I guess the first character's party, and then it was like, okay, we're gonna jump over to this other person who's going to recruit brand new people, and you're going to have to level all of them. And I was like, but
oh, wow.
I had just gotten to the point where I was really enjoying that main party of Fire Emblem, and then I got the new party. And the worst thing about the new party is that it comprised of like 3 or 4 mages, and like nobody was really tanky.
Oh, jeez.
And it's, you got a team of people who could, like, you know, like burst or damage, but like like don't let them get hit or they go down like a sack of potatoes. And I did get to the point where you could switch back and forth between these parties, but the presence of one party missing the characters I was enjoying from the other one is just like, it's really felt. I feel it extremely. And you're supposed to play both of the characters at the same time and move across the map and move one band of characters, and the other band of characters move this way and that way. And I worked so hard on getting the equipment with one character, and that equipment does not translate over to the other team's equipment.
Oh, yeah.
They're 2 different inventories, 2 different teams of units, 2 different effort of armies you're working towards. And it's a cool concept, cool idea. I hate it.
Yeah. Just not for you.
Somebody out there likes it, I'm sure. Not me. I don't like that. It's one of the things that I've always hated in RPGs when you do that to me. And I understand the storytelling reason behind it, because it's a powerful message. You feel the character's loss because they make you feel the loss. You experience it by losing the characters entirely. So you feel like, oh man, what's it like without this character? Everything's worse without them. And it makes you like share some of the feelings of the main character. Still don't like it. Yeah. So that's probably super biased. But that's just how I feel. I'm still playing it though. I like the story, which is probably the reason why I will continue it. It's because I like the story. It's kind of simple. And this is probably another reason why I don't like it. I felt like a lot of the new Fire Emblems, and like the characters had way more depth to them. Like even the side characters kind of felt like they had like lots of personality and lots of stuff going on with them. Like I cared about Lonku and other things, whereas this one I just like, they suddenly throw like 5 or 6 characters at you and I just can't care about all of them because they don't go through any sort of real story arc with me. I don't get to introduce one at a time and learn what you're about. Whereas like if you looked at Awakening, when you get introduced, you only start with a very simple like a lord, his sister, and what would you call him? His bodyguard, his second in command, Frederick. The person who's supposed to carry you for the first few hours of game. And then you get introduced to one character at a time, and they really go through and kind of establish things about them. Whereas this one is like, here's a bunch of people, and we're not retainer. That is perfect. Yes, his retainer.
The techie man in chat says retainer. Thank you.
Yes. It's I don't know. Valencia feels kind of like a nice looking game that's got a dated story, which is pretty accurate because that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's a good Fire Emblem game, but it's probably not my cup of tea. But that's all I've been playing. What about you, Boston? I
actually haven't played a ton of stuff this past month in general, but I did start Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm in the Nexus, and I'm doing like the first couple of side quests. I did somebody sabotaging these electrical panels, go figure out who, and stuff like that, and let's meet the council people around the station. It's good. It's a Mass Effect game. There's not really much wrong with it. I really didn't like the tutorial mission because it was really long. I understand what they were going for. They were going for, this isn't a Mass Effect game. It's more like the what Dragon Age Inquisition was presenting with, here's a large area and we're gonna put a bunch of points on your map, and it's gonna be focus more on exploring rather than you just need to go from point A to point B in this area. So I get what they were going for, but it was really pretty long until you got onto the Nexus proper. But it seems good so far, and I played it for a little bit until Yakuza Kiwami came out and popped that in my PS4. And boy, that immediately is really good. It's I think it's like 10 years after Yakuza 0. And this is, for anybody that hasn't seen it, this is a remake of Yakuza 1. Immediately, it's really great. The story is immediately just pulls you in. The main character's still back. They did a thing where the other character from Yakuza 0 has been written into this game as well, Majima. And that works okay. It's very clear. I never played Yakuza 1 for more than about 5 minutes on the PS2. It's pretty clear where they squeeze him in, and I think it mostly works. But I know Majima is a character that Yakuza fans really love, and I don't think Yakuza 0 is the reason why. I really liked that character in Yakuza 0 before, at the very end of the game, he turns into the character that persists throughout the rest of the game, that is tonally very different from how he was presented in Yakuza 0, and I feel like I won't find out why people love him until the game where he shows up proper, which I think is like 3 or 4. Thankfully, Sega has announced they're going to remake 2 as well, which is great. Like, go remake all of them, because now I want to go play all of them.
I want to play them all too. I haven't started. It's one of those things that's on the list, way
Yakuza 0 is
down.
really good. I would recommend starting there. Yakuza Kiwami also seems like a really great starting point, and that came out at only $30. If anyone,
it's nice.
And I get the impression that it's significantly shorter than 0. I think that might work to its detriment, but I think they're telling a much more focused story, and there's really only one playable character in this one. So the scope of the story is going to be much, much smaller. So I will probably be playing that instead of Mass Effect Andromeda, which is rough because I really wanted to finish Andromeda before Game of the Year talks. But there's still so much stuff coming out this year that it's going to be hard to play all of it. And I feel like everybody's played Mass Effect Andromeda, and nobody has played Yakuza 0 or Kiwami, so I will be holding the standard for go buy the Yakuza games, so Sega will continue to bring them out over here. And thankfully, ever since Yakuza 1, they've stopped dubbing them, and they just leave the incredibly fantastic Japanese voice acting in there. I cannot sell how good that voice acting is. And it seems like it follows through in this one, and it's almost an embarrassment of riches because early 2018 Yakuza 6 is coming out. And then they just announced the character. That's the end of this character's story arc, and they just announced the character that's going to be taking over the Yakuza series after that. So, I know I'm coming to this series really, really late, but I'm glad to see that Sega is committed to it in a way that leaves me hopeful for people like me that are just starting it now. Where it's like, Yakuza is really great. I want to play all of them. And Sega's like, great news. If you have a PS4, come along for the ride. So that's really good news. I've only played about an hour. I'm still in the prologue before. I guess the whole thing about Yakuza 0 leading up to Yakuza 1 and like the first couple of minutes in Yakuza 1 is the main character shoots somebody, which is in Japan is like a 1-2 punch of crimes, which is not only did you kill someone, you also did it with a gun. So I guess the whole thing of the first game is why did this happen, and how are you gonna get out of it? So I'm very excited to figure out. And last but not least, because we've been recording for about 2 hours, I finished Nier Automata. I finished ending E. I have closed the book on that. I got the majority of the trophies in the game, and then through the in-game shop I just bought the last couple, because there were a bunch where it's like, collect all the weapons, get all the endings. Collecting all the weapons is easy, and it would have only taken me like 10 more hours total to get that and all the endings. I would have really enjoyed that. I just don't have the time to do it. And like, I bought the one for catch 26 types of fish. I would rather not. Okay. It's fun. The fishing minigame is fun, but it's the same thing as if I had the time, I would have gone through all that stuff, because a lot of it is really good, and a lot of the other endings would have been really great. I really, really like a lot of what this game is doing during ending D&E. I absolutely will not spoil it, because it's really great.
Good.
But there's some parts during ending D&E where the game is switching between two characters when you're doing something, and the way they do that is so effective and so cool and makes you feel so strong and pays off in a really cool story way that I really wish I could just show people that section, because it's really, really cool. The way they handle endings C, D, and E, and how you get those is really great and pays off really smartly in the way that it wraps up the whole story. And then the way that the game finishes itself and how you finish ending E is incredible, and I think is a really, really great bow on that game, and I can't recommend enough. Just at the very least, the first 5 endings. The rest of them you'll kind of get as you go, but those A through E are really the full story, and then the epilogue is pretty great. I go play Nier Automata. I played it on easy and did a lot of the automatic fighting stuff just because it looked cool, and it was super easy. And don't worry, I'd say if anyone's worried about the difficulty, easy is really, really, really easy, and you can just get the story at that point. So I wish I could talk about it more, but I know, Meanie, you're still playing it, and Musum,
yes,
you haven't finished ending E, so I don't.
I've read what it is. Okay. I mean, it sounds cool. I'm aware of what happens during it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the world. I kind of wander around in it more, but I don't know how realistic I'm being, because as you said, I don't know where I'm going to get time to finish all the things I want to finish before end of the year podcast. So
yeah, that's sort of why I just pulled the trigger on it. It's like I could play it for 10 to 20 more hours, and I played it for 40 hours already, and I finished like 89 or 91% of the side quests. So I did the vast majority of the game, and when you finish ending C, it gives you chapter select, so you can just jump to any point in the game with any character. Well, a character that would be appropriate for that point. So you can do all that stuff, but I had the same thing where it's like, I could go do all this, but I'm not going to, so I'd rather sort of tie the bow on this thing and kind of wrap it out.
I'm just not ready to delete my save tab.
Yeah,
you know, when I get to that point mentally, then I will do it.
I will let you know you don't have to. You can say
really?
no. Yeah.
I can do ending E without deleting it. Okay.
I heard that from somebody because I think I mentioned to someone that I'd never heard of something like that, and they're like, "Well, you can opt to not," and I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, it asks you like 6 times, and that only happens if you answer yes all of the times. I think the only thing you don't get is the epilogue, which I mean is fine. You can just watch it on YouTube if you just want to see it and then go back to sort of exploring the game. But go play Nier Automata. It makes me want to, like I've talked about, it makes me want to find a way to play the previous Nier game, and I really wish I had the time to do it, and I don't, and that is sort of killing me, because I haven't had that spoiled, which is incredible, and I didn't get, other than, you know, Knobs spoiling parts of 3 of the 5 endings to me, I didn't get the majority of this game spoiled. But yeah, go play Nier Automata. That for me is easily, I haven't finished 10 games this year, but you know, if I had finished more than 10 games this year, this would easily be my top 10, and it's gonna be way up at top. So I wholeheartedly recommend it. But before I spoil anything, that's all I've been playing this month, so let's take a break.
Ooh. Do we have any tweets or emails that...
We have Discord questions.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily...
There it is. I was like, it's right there on the show.
I don't necessarily have anything to go do for the break, so if you guys just want to bust out the second half...
Yeah, the sooner we can finish it, it keeps getting hotter. It's gotten about 5 degrees hotter as we've been recording.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's just...
I feel like we all had good conversations on varying topics, so...
yeah.
I was biting my tongue not to start pushing you on Mass Effect. I was like, don't do it, John. Just let him talk. He likes it. It's okay.
This year, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd rather, like I said, someone, I don't remember who it was in the Discord, said, like, you know, everybody on both shows has played Mass Effect Andromeda. Nobody is going to play Yakuza Kiwami. So if you're interested in content, then... And I was like, you know what? That's a really good point. I will...
Well, and I picked it up because it was only $30. I have no idea when I'm going to play Yakuza Kiwami, and I really would rather play Zero before I play it, but I want Zero to drop down to $30 too, and it just refuses to do that. It is still a $60 game.
How much is Zero right now?
60.
Yeah,
I literally checked earlier today.
Crap.
Yeah.
I would still recommend... I think if you played Kiwami first and you played Zero later, I think you would still get the same experience.
Well, and I don't... Like, time-wise right now, I have to beat Prey. And then after Prey, I have to go back to Torment. No one else in this world is playing Torment. I really like the portion I played. They added a lot to it since I played it, so I'm ready to... I just want to go back and play through as much of that game as I can.
Yakuza Kiwami's main story, without doing any of the side stuff, is 14 hours. So that's why I picked it up. I'm like...
What about the side stuff in Zero? Like, was that...
That's a lot of stuff.
Like, was it good? Was it content that you really wanted to experience?
So there's sort of 2 facets to that. One is the mini games, which all of those are really good. And then there's the side quests, which I think they call them side stories. Those are the things I would recommend. I don't think I would recommend seeking them out as you're playing them, because when you finish the game, it dumps you back in the open world. I don't remember what the mode is, but basically all of the side stories are open at that point. So if you wanted to go do some, you could. With Yakuza 0, I would really recommend just kind of... It's 30 hours. I'd recommend just, like, blowing through the main story, and maybe putting it on easy, and just kind of... I think that my enjoyment of Yakuza 0 is the main story is so super serious and told really well. All of the side stories are incredibly goofy and told really well. So, like, both sides of the coin... They kind of balanced out each other, where it's like, all right, I just had this super serious and sad part. now I'm gonna go play UFO catcher to get a toy for this little girl so she can go back home. You know, like, and they balanced each other out pretty well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, how far are you in Prey without spoiling anything?
I just got to the cargo bay with the survivors.
Cargo bay with the survivors. Okay.
So I got... How do I put this? They locked me in that one area. I went out the space. I came back in. I cleared out the monsters in that room.
Okay.
Now they want me to go get a fabrication plan for some guns.
Okay.
Or something like that. I don't know how far that is.
I think you're about halfway.
Damn! I was hoping it was like 75%.
Yeah, no, the end of that game goes pretty quickly. After we're done recording, I will give you some advice for the very, very, very end of that game. There's a portion that immediately seems like it's going to destroy everything that game has built. But they tell you how to get out of the situation, but it's not entirely clear. So okay. I'll give you some hints, because the game unfairly... We talked about this a lot on TVGP in the spoiler cast. The game unfairly got some bad reviews because the first 75% of the game is Prey, and the ending seems very different, but it's not. If you listen to what the game's telling you. Okay. So, I'm trying to give everybody like the optimal Prey experience, because
I really like it right now. Year. I really like it. I just want to have beaten it so I can play something else, because I've beaten like 3 games this year.
That's my problem too, whereas like I have all these games, it's like, no, you have to finish one at a time and just get through it, and then you can put the next one in. Yeah. I'm bad.
I guess I should be thankful Fire Emblem Heroes came out this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was just looking at my list. I think I've finished 5 games this year. But I'm playing the new Life is Strange, so I think that's gonna finish this year. So
I got other stuff I want to do tonight. I gotta quit asking you about stuff, Boston.
Okay.
I had to pre-write my answers for these because I wanted to make sure I wrote down what I was thinking.
Oh, there you go.
I kind of read them earlier, and I've been trying to think about how to word it in my brain.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready to do this next segment?
Yes.
Oh, I need to open up news stories here. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk RPG releases for September 2017. First, and most importantly, Destiny 2 comes out for PS4 and Xbox One on the 6th. It's so close. I'm now allowing myself to be excited, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to be delayed. It's already pre-ordered and on my PS4. Like, preloaded and everything. I really want this to be good. I'm crossing my fingers.
I hope that it's good, because if it's not good, I can only imagine the internet outrage.
Yeah.
Like, it will be 2 times as bad as the first time.
Yeah. And for those that are picking them on the PS4 or the PC, this comes out on October 24th, if I remember correctly. So, Monster Hunter Stories comes out on the 3DS on the 8th. I hear it's great. Has a demo out right now, so go check it out. Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. I think I'm pronouncing that last one. I don't know if it's like Donna or something. Comes out on the PS4, Vita, and PC on the 12th. I have never played an Ys game, but apparently they're all pretty good.
They're pretty difficult, kind of brawler, like... Or I say that. I played 3, and I don't remember what else I played. I don't know. I think
7, maybe.
I think the Nymph on the forums and Discord is the Ys expert.
Yeah, that sounds right. Divinity Original Sin 2 comes out on the PC on the 14th. Yet another Kickstarter success coming out.
I'm excited about this one, and I have no idea how I will find time to play it.
For anyone watching in the live stream, our hard decisions here on 2017's amazing games. Hopefully 2018 is a little bit quieter so we can catch up on what 2017 had to offer.
Like, do they all have to be 100 hours? Like,
Can I get a 10-hour game here?
Come on.
Man.
This next one.
Yeah, Danganronpa version V3 Killing Harmony out on PS4, Vita, and PC on the 26th. Mina is the most excited.
I love Danganronpa. It is one of my most favorite visual novel games. Killing game theme, obviously, with that title.
Yeah.
But it's oh my god, I love it so much because
the first two are out on PS4 remastered right now, so
they're on Steam as well.
Oh, that's right. Along with the Zero Escape games, all three of those are on Steam and PS4 as well.
Yes.
So many good visual novels. Even if you don't go for the Otome stuff, like there's a ton of great visual novels out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3, out for the PS4 on the 28th. They are just... there was a huge gap between Trails in the Sky 1 and 2, and then they are making up by putting each and every game in that series out in the last 2 years. So, if you love these games, there's a ton of them. Alright, moving on to news stories here. Secret of Mana remake announced. PS4, Vita, and PC. I seem to be the only person that likes how this game looks.
I'm excited about it. The only thing I'm not excited about it is that it's $40.
That's expensive. I've never played Secret of Mana. Like, this is one of my Super NES shame games. I've never played this, and I'm excited for a remake because that means I can probably play it.
So here's another thing, right? So you said you ordered a Steam Link earlier.
I did.
So you can multiplayer with Steam Link still. You can plug 2 controllers into it. You and your wife can sit on the couch and play through Secret of Mana, because the second you get a second character, then you both can play, and it's an action RPG. So.
Oh, that sounds really good. Oh, curses. Yeah. Have you seen much of this, Mina? How do you feel about this divisive
I played
remake?
the original.
Yeah.
I played the original. I don't have a problem with the graphics, but I mean, I don't get offended by super cute. Obviously, I enjoy it.
It looks like it looks like the 3D, like a 3D remake of the original game. Like I don't know.
I can't.
I didn't really feel like they went super cute on it, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I think
like
a lot of people just don't like how bubbly everything looks. Like
Sure.
they want it to be more of the serious-looking pixel way that it looked before.
It reminds me a lot of Legend of Mana for the PS1. Like that, it seems pretty faithful to the style that the games have presented for a while. But
I think a lot of people need to go look at how bad Chibi can actually get and be thankful that it stopped here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It looks fine to me. I have no problems with it. I don't know if I'll get it just because
played it before.
I've already played it, and I have so many. Like, listen, one day I need to get to Yakuza 0, so
yeah,
there are games that are just gonna have to wait.
You already have plenty in the queue before that.
Well, this will at least make my Steam wish list and my PlayStation wish list.
Yeah.
Even though that wish list is pointless since. Anyway.
I think it's a safe bet that that'll probably come out over here. Fingers crossed. And last but not least, Final Fantasy 15 Windows Edition, which is actually the title of it, coming to PC in 2018. They're going to have 4K HDR support, NVIDIA GameWorks. They're going to have Steam Marketplace supports for mods, which is shocking for a Japanese-developed game. This seems pretty cool. I feel like with some of the performance hiccups that have been introduced in the PS4 version, especially over its life cycle, seems like this might be the solution to those that might be more sensitive to frame rate issues, like I can sometimes be.
I don't think I realized that this was getting actual official mod support.
Yeah.
And I think that just made my buy list, because I really liked Final Fantasy 15, and I would really like to see the mod community fix everything wrong with that game and
There
make it
are some things wrong. I agree.
I'd like to see like how much cool stuff can the community put in. Like I want to see how long it's going to take someone to put an arena mode in where you fight the final boss of the first 14 Final Fantasy games like in a row. You know, like there's so much cool stuff that people can put in there.
So I'm going to word this very carefully because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who has not beat this game. And this game is 100% worth beating. You can just mainline the story and it's not super long. I want them to make one of the final chapters an explorable open world.
Yeah, that's always been the...
Oh, that one. I know exactly, yes.
That's always been one of the biggest criticisms of this game is, you know, it opens really huge, and then as the game goes on, it sort of funnels smaller and smaller and smaller.
It definitely does.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if people will open that back up.
Boston, you should beat that game someday. And maybe not this year. You should do it, though.
It's sort of unfortunate. So here's the thing. I have two problems. One is, when my PS4 died, I bought a PS4 Pro, which for Final Fantasy 15 is a problem because it runs worse on the Pro than it does the vanilla. In a way that there's like frame skipping stuff that I can sometimes be sensitive to and it'll give me a headache. The other problem is I keep waiting for them to be finished with the game, and then they keep announcing new giant patches where it's like, here's multiplayer, and here we're fixing these other chapters, and we're just going to put 10 more chapters in for free. And it's like, I want to finish it. Just let me finish. So
that's my negative with the game, by the way.
Too much stuff.
Well, no, it's I'm done with it. I don't want, like, make a game, and if you make expansion like later, don't just keep doing this with extending the chapters. Like, I just wanted to play the game. If I had known about this, I would have waited for like the Game of the Year edition and said, "Okay, this is the complete." I would have been right there with you. I would have been like, I'll wait for the true version, the one that's like.
Yeah. You see, for me now, like, I'm just gonna wait for the PC version that has all the DLC that's gonna come out, like either
Skyrim
whether it's
Super
end of the
Edition,
issue, and then go in and get all these fan mods that will at that point have been around for 6 to 12 months, and install the community recommended ones, and then see what other ones are available to see if I'd enjoy them. And
like
Final Fantasy 15 optimized patch.
Yeah, exactly. When you fire up Skyrim, it's like, all right, here are the fixes for everything that's broken. Let's make it look better, you know, etc., etc. So, Final Fantasy 15. All right, let's move on to emails. I forgot we actually have an email. I lied to you guys by accident. Angel Eye here. I had a couple Persona questions, which we don't need to prep for that. We know Persona. Number one, the difference between endings in Persona 5 is rather large. So am I missing anything getting a good but not the true ending in Persona 4? It's the same experience. You know, you get a lot of extra content, you get more time in the game, and you get a pretty significantly different ending. I would go for the true ending in Persona 4. It's not a lot of extra work, but it's a pretty big payoff. Not like Persona 3, where it's like you're going to have way more game when you go for the true ending.
Have another 100 levels of dungeon.
Oh god, it was so much content. It was good, and the ending was really great, but I was sort of ready to be done. So, but I also don't want to spoil the true ending of Persona 5 because I know Mina's not there yet.
I haven't hit that point yet. I think I definitely hit a thing that was like, you better choose the right answer here, or this could be a bad ending. Like, I think I hit that one.
Yeah, the nice part about Persona 5 is it's pretty clear when you're making the decision. So, number two, what Persona game has the best music? I was underwhelmed by Persona 5's music until I listened to it separately. It may be the best in my opinion. It never takes a spotlight from the game by standing out, yet all the tracks are strong, and that song that plays through the last few dungeons, epic.
I personally like Persona 3 the most for the soundtrack.
That's my gut feeling too. Like, 4 is really great and 5 is excellent, but there's something about 3.
I mean, 3 was the redefinition of the tone, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Persona 1 and 2, like, they both had good soundtracks, but they didn't redefine into this Japanese pop, whatever it is.
Yeah, this is
like
Meguro.
Well, it was like a jazzy pop rap sort of thing. And
yeah, this is like Shoji Meguro putting a flag in the sand. It's like, this is what Persona is, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my.
Like 5, I love the music in 5. It's a huge departure, but at the same time, there are lots of moments that it gets me more into the game. Like granted, I almost always look for the soundtrack in anything I go in. I guess probably because I'm a musician or something, but like I immediately noticed Persona 5's music and kind of how it weaved in and out, and how it had this kind of 70s kind of funk
I
jazz
like that.
thing.
I really do.
It's like the extension of Catherine.
Yeah. And I love the variations of that one song with the female lyrics, where sometimes it's just her singing with
Behind
like maybe the
Mask,
organ.
Behind the Mask.
Yeah, and there's like 6 different versions where it's like, oh, it's chill, but it's raining.
Depending on the weather or the day, the time of day.
Oh,
I love that.
I think Persona 5 did really well, where it's like, especially with that track, where it's like, here's your main theme for like the middle third of the game. And it does matter if it's day versus night, or if it's clear versus raining, or, there's all these different variations. And I think when you compare the last 2 titles we got on the PS2 versus what we got on the PS4, I think that's where you see that power being different. But yeah, Persona 3 is really good.
I think all of his music is really good. I have a Burn My Dread, and that final boss fight. That was like, I felt that music full force. I was like, this is.
I'm in it.
You know what?
I am all about this.
I'm gonna flip the table. Persona 4 Dance All Night.
That's a great soundtrack. Yeah.
That's one of the best soundtracks.
There. That'll be one of my answers.
Yeah.
It's you're choosing between amazing stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, like all of them are good. So. And his third question is, oddball question, do you check Discord for PUP questions? As a matter of fact, I do, and let's segue over to our Discord questions. T-Bone Rock sends in a whole bunch of them here. First question is, you can bring back one dormant or dead franchise, but you have to get rid of one of your current favorites, and it won't ever come back. What do you pick?
I've got my answer.
Okay, I've got mine first. I've got mine too, so you can go first.
You go first. No, you go first.
I want to bring back Shining Force.
Yeah.
Like the Genesis original Shining Force, and it breaks my heart, but I would get rid of Dragon Age. I think I could do without.
It's kind of funny that you say that, because I have 3 that I would want to bring back. It doesn't matter which one of the 3. Like, take your pick. I would like to see the Mother series. Rune Factory, which I dread finding out that Rune Factory's dead. I'm so upset
just
because
on
they
indefinite
ended on,
hiatus.
Or Dark Cloud. I would want one of
Dark
those.
Cloud. That'll be my second one. Yeah.
And I would kill Dragon Quest. And that is huge.
The whole country is angry at you right now.
Angry. I know. I understand, but I always felt that Dragon Quest got a little bit weaker after Square and Enix kind of teamed up, but I don't know. I would get rid of that one, and it's one that I love. I wouldn't get rid of Persona.
Well, it's almost like getting rid of Final Fantasy, where it's like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy both have so many incredible games that have already come out. If you're gonna sort of lop it off at the knees at this point, okay. Final Fantasy, you've got like 6 or 7 really great games. That's pretty good. There's also an argument to be made that Final Fantasy has gotten worse over time as well, and you might not be wrong, but that's neither here nor there. But that's a good choice.
So my answer is to shelve Mass Effect, make it never come back.
Yep.
I obviously severely disagree with TVGP crew on it, but I don't think it's a bad game. I just think it's an average game when compared to other video games, and I think it's bad when compared to Mass Effect. But for the dead or dormant franchise to bring back, this is like my mind just went back to Super Nintendo, and well, okay, I'm gonna do 2 because I just thought of another one. So one. Ogre Battle, either the tactics or the normal version. Except if you bring back the normal version, you have to make it not take 20 hours per fight. Like, I don't know how you do that.
Speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those games are too slow. But But the original answer I was thinking of is back for Super Nintendo and PS1, Japan got all these Tactics Gundam RPGs that we never got over here. I played some through an emulator, and they were kind of too easy to a degree, but either way, I would love for a modern-day Tactics Gundam mech game. That would be amazing.
That'd be cool. Next question. What is your current game of the year, and what game have you had the most fun playing this year so far?
Jeez.
There's been a lot of really good games. I guess I'll go first.
Sure.
For game of the year, I would swing and say that Persona 5 has to be like probably my game of the year. Not just because I like Persona. It's in the running at least because that particular one. It's just like they looked at all of the Persona games from the past and took the best parts of them and made what I've wanted for the longest time, which is a super good modern Persona game that everybody's going to get into. So, like for those reasons, it would be my game of the year. But the more I play Nier Automata, the more I think that realistically that one might be it, or at least these two would be in the running.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, what about you, Musum?
So I have absolutely adored almost every game I've beaten and played this year.
That's the hard part about this year.
So, like, Persona 5 I love, and I want that to be my game of the year. But I haven't played it in a while. I'm going to have to refresh myself, come December, just to get my head back around it and kind of thinking about it. But I suspect it's going to be in the neighborhood of a non-RPG like Horizon Zero Dawn, or I don't know. We'll see what the last half of Prey does to me. I really like Prey so far, but that's another non-RPG in the running. But Nier Automata, I think, probably has an edge on everything. But at the same time, I'm hoping to get back to Torment after I beat Prey, and Torment. I really liked what I played of it so far, and depending on what that game does and how it uses my time, like, that may be in the running too, so I have no idea what I'm going to do.
I think for me, I'm still gravitating towards Prey being my game of the year, but I think the game I've had the most fun playing this year so far has actually been Yakuza 0. And I think part of it is the novelty of it's my first Yakuza game, and this time being the time where I fall in love with the series, and I'm like, I'm hungry for more titles. Like, I finally understand that feeling of all the Yakuza fans were like, yeah, a new one's coming out, and it's like, I've always been on that side being like, okay, what are you so excited about? And like, it's Yakuza, it's great. But I just think it's such a great game, and I think, like we were talking about during the break, everything complements everything else, and it's incredibly well made, and I just had fun the entire time. Not to say I didn't have fun playing Prey or any of the other games, but that strikes me as the most fun I had, sort of moment to moment. It's hard. 2017 is gonna be hard. It's probably gonna be one of the hardest years. I started podcasting in 2007, which is 97, 2007, and 2017 are like three of the best modern years in gaming, and this is going to be probably one of the hardest years to pick a top 10. Thankfully, I haven't finished 10 games this year, so it's going to be easy. But I don't envy future me. Mina also says Danganronpa V3.
If it's good, it might run away with Game of the Year. If it's good, I can't imagine it being bad though. So.
I mean, there's also another game coming out. I think it's coming out in November from the Steins Gate team, the Science Adventure team. Ooh. They're coming out with like a crime thriller visual novel, and I'm like, well, now I have to buy that too. Like, come on, guys.
Well, and like, it's not going to take Game of the Year, but West of Loathing I've been having a lot of fun. With the ridiculousness of that game.
Could certainly show up in the top 10.
Yeah.
And T-Bomb Rocks' last question here. With the remake of Secret of Mana, what other RPG remakes would you like to see? I have
Everything by Quintet.
Oh man, that's a good choice. I have two really easy ones that I can name, and this would be, they're both in the same generation, but I would really love to see a remake of Vagrant Story. I think voice acting has hit the right point, and I think it's a weird enough and complicated enough game that I think right now people could fully appreciate it. It was way ahead of its time. And the other game, just on sheer technical reasons, is Xenogears.
Oh yeah.
Even if you don't do a lot to that game, speed up the text, fix a slowdown, like there's a couple of technical issues that they could get around, and just put that thing back out and let more people play it. It came out for Vita, but it's a pretty ugly looking, it's a pretty slow game nowadays. I feel like you slap a coat of paint on that and that could be
I'd love to see good. Like a full-on anime style, because back then, like the anime cutscenes in Xenogears were just like
mind-blowing.
Super exciting. Just make the whole game look like that.
That'd be great. Mina, what are you thinking?
For me, I was kind of shocked when I heard about .hack GU. I would like to see them take the original 4 .hack games and I mean, this would have to be a huge remake because they cannot just put a new coat of paint on it. That's not enough. They'd have to remake that almost into the .hack GU style is what I would like to see.
Yeah. And
you could easily put all 4 of those games into one game and just cut out a lot of the a lot of the extra noise in there that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
But that's what I would like to see.
I think, sort of wrapping up our conversation from the last couple episodes, Nier, of course.
Nier would be good.
Even if you do one of those like PS3 classics on PS4, something like that, or make it backwards compatible on Xbox One, that would help too.
Or take like the Drakengard and Nier games and tell Telltale to remake these games with the choices, but just take out all the combat so you can play through the story.
You know what?
Yeah.
I would get that.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. But that's all of our questions for this month. Thank you so much, everyone, for writing in. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. Don't forget to join our Discord server. It's a really great time. The link to that and everything else is on the right-hand side of the page. Musum, where can we find you?
You can buy my music at musum.bandcamp.com, also on iTunes and the other services, and listen to my other podcast, thecarouselpodcast.com.
And Mina, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube under Mina KO Rocket.
And don't forget you can find me at tvgp.tv for that video game podcast. And become a patron. Patreon.com/E1M1. Get some cool behind-the-scenes looks. If you're at the $5 or more tier, you can hang out with me while I edit this very show on Sunday nights. And if you can't watch it live, there's obviously an archive for you to watch and peruse. That's our episode. Thank you very much, Musum and Mina, for joining me yet again.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you.
And our adventure continues next month. Alright, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in chat. I don't know why Restream was showing this stuff really weird on the stream. I don't know, man. Technology. I am dying here, so we're going to go. Bye!
Bye!